Most people start their job search focused on making sure that they're chosen for the role. But I don't think enough of us, as we're going into these interviews, are spending enough time making sure that the company is actually a company that you want to work for, that the manager is someone that you'd be excited to work for, that you'd get along with, that there's a team or that the team works with your lifestyle, works with your working habits, with your regular workflow, with your schedule, all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of the shift that I want to help you make today, because I really think that little bit of the mindset shift, but also like that dynamic shift where you're not just hoping you're chosen, you also want to be chosen by a company that aligns with you really deeply. So what I'm going to do today is go over kind of how you can assess alignment as you're interviewing with a company, how you can look at their website, their social media, talk to people at the company, and get a better idea of what you're walking into. That way you don't do a whole career pivot, leave a whole career that you might have had years of experience in, and then go into a new career thinking, oh, I hate sales, for example, when really it's not that you hate sales, you just hate the way that the company you've chosen does sales, right? So I want to start first with my story. um, when I was first doing this whole pivot situation, starting to interview, all that stuff, I was absolutely doing the thing where I was like, okay, I need to make sure, this company is willing to look at not just willing to look at my resume, but they looked at my resume, they looked at my outreach, and they're giving me a chance when I have no sales experience. Like, hotel cat. They're giving me a chance even though I have no experience in this. So I need to make sure that this company is a company that I get in with, right? But there were a couple things that I realized along the way that really did not align with me. And as I went through, what was it? I think 10, 11 interview processes, talked to a bunch of hiring managers, talked to a bunch of SDRs in those roles. What I learned is there are a lot of questions that we should be asking in order to uncover what some like fundamental alignment things are, or like indicators are, I'll say. So the very first thing is you need to know what you're looking for. Are you somebody who's, fresh out of college, you're new in your career, maybe you spent a couple years doing something else and you're just hungry to make as much money as possible? Are you someone who's like, hey, I'm in a lot of debt, I'm on the brink of homelessness, I'm, whatever it happens to be, and I need to make as much money as possible to get out of this situation, to make sure that my kids eat. I'm on the loudest street, y'all. To make sure that my kids eat. Are you someone who's like, look, I am money motivated, but only to a point? Like, that's kind of where I am. Of course, I would like to make money, but if it comes at the sacrifice of my sleep, y'all know I'm a nap queen. I take absolutely heinous naps. If I'm looking around, there aren't a ton of people in the lobby, but there is one worker that's like walking back and forth, and I know he's like, oh my gosh, cringy content creator. But anyway, um, you want to assess what you're looking for in a company in terms of your level of your level of motivation, how much money you want to make, what you want the culture to be like. Sales is one of those things where a lot of companies are looking for the most competitive people possible. So even though you're on a team of, let's say, 10 to 30 people, you're always wanting to be like on the leaderboard somewhere. And for some people that works. I think for, people who may have been in, like previously been athletes or, stuff like that, works great for them. That's not necessarily something I was looking for. And each thing teaches you different skills, so that's the first thing. Take an assessment of what you want from this next job, and then as you're looking at their company website. And I'll go into this a little bit as well, because there are times when you can apply for a role before it's even posted, and how you find those companies that you want to apply for when a role isn't posted is by looking at their website. But usually when you go onto a company's website, it'll be like one or two ways. They'll have like an about us section, which will include, the company's values, how long they've been founded. A lot of times it'll have their mission statement, and there is a huge there are huge indicators in, and I'm actually going to look up my current company's website so I can show you exactly what it says to give you an idea of what I'm talking about as well. One sec. Hold on. We're doing this in real time, y'all. Real time. So, anywho, the company career site will tell you a lot about what they value and what the company culture is going to be like. And then once you find out what they say about the company, we're going to go into how you find out whether or not that's true. So, let's see. For my company, here are a couple of the values, okay? They have like an our culture section, and it says we need a team of strong, diverse, mission-focused people. Whether we're physically together or in our own little corner of the country, we're all focused on getting outcomes based on experimentation, data-driven decisions, and execution, and have some fun while doing it. We are a remote-first company with autonomous employees who act come on now, who act in ways that reflect our values every day. Our team is built on a foundation of trust and respect, doing our part to make industry better. So, a couple of things that I want to highlight here. Our team is built on a foundation of trust and respect, doing our part to make industry better. I'm not going to tell y'all everything about my current job. Um, if a company trusts their employees, chances are you're less likely to be micromanaged, which is a huge part of me, or part of what I was looking for. I don't want to be someone who, if I, don't have activity on, our tracker or whatever for an hour, they're like, what are you doing? What's going on? What? Mm-mm. Nah. So that's a big part on the career site, the company itself, and usually, like, I think it's a combination of marketing, HR, and like the CEO, like executive suite, that dictate the culture. So they're all going to collaborate to put what's on that page. The second thing you want to look at is their social media. Most companies, in addition, well, especially these days, in addition to their CEO, they'll usually have a couple of employees that are posting regularly, and you want to look at what they're posting. Are they posting like, yo, it's 10 p.m., still on the grind, still doing calls? What is it? Are there people in the company that are like, yeah, that's how you do it, bro? That's, again, for me, that's not something that's super attractive. But if that's something for you where you're just looking for something with a super high salary, then that might work for you. You just need to know what exactly you're looking for. And then also on the like leadership page, so the CEO, the CFO, the CRO, the all those people, a lot of times they will talk about what they value most. So is it, hey, we had a big problem and the team really pushed through. I'm really proud of how the team collaborated. Are they posting company offsites where you can tell, like, oh, they got budget, they taking us on trips there? Are they talking about their end of year bonuses that they're giving their employees, that sort of thing? All these are things that you can take into account to decide if this leadership team is someone that you want to work for. Are you the type of employee that they're going to be shouting out, or are you the type of employee that they're going to resent because you're not on the grind currently or constantly? You're not someone who's going to be 100% gung ho for this company. Okay. A couple more things. Company reviews. So I think most people know about Glassdoor. It's a website where if you put in your company title or your prospective company's title, they're usually employees who will post the interview process. They will post about their benefits, their pay, and overall experience working at the company, and then they'll rate it. So kind of a 1 through 5 star system. I also encourage you to do this for your own company. All of it's anonymous. You want to read those. Read the ones in the middle as well as the ones that are extreme. I would say the ones in the middle are usually the most honest, because anyone who says this is the absolute worst company I've ever worked for and da da da, like, could it be true? Absolutely. But I would say the ones that are in the middle, those three, like 2, 3, 4 star ones, are going to highlight some of the positives as well as some of the negatives. And that's important. You don't want to be taking advice from a disgruntled employee who might have something personal against the sales manager or whatever. The other place, specifically if you are interested in a tech sales role, is RepView. I will drop a link to that down in the comments. And you can make an account before you actually get a tech sales job. So I'll probably post that as well if I remember it. Don't let me forget. um, yeah, so on RepView it's a similar thing, except it's specifically for the tech sales function. So it's going to be account executives, it's going to be sales directors, it's going to be SDRs. I would say usually like the VP and people up that high, you're not going to see so much of. But again, it's it's specifically sales focused, so it's a little more well rounded in terms of the review process, because on Glassdoor you'll have people from marketing, you'll have people from customer success, you'll have people from customer service, you'll have, you know what I mean? It's a wider range. And the reality of it is each team may operate differently. They may each, have a different manager, a different director that they're working under, and a different set of rules, because obviously the expectations of each team are different. So you just rep I take into account both, but RepView is going to be very specific for sales roles, and so you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Yeah, okay. And then another thing that is so slept on is LinkedIn. And there's a couple different ways that you can. Please don't tell me that. Can you guys hear that? Please don't be beeping for too long. Okay, we're going to keep going in the meantime. There are a couple different ways that you can use LinkedIn in order to give you the most well rounded view of what a company is like. So, one, there is a search feature. If you search LinkedIn, um, you search, I believe it's whatever role you're looking for. So say SDR, put sales development rep and search. And then you can put in past company. Oh, there's a train going by. That's why. Hold on. Please hold. Let's hope it's not too long. Okay, they got itty bitty trains here in Costa Rica. Um, So there's a search feature where you can put in past company, and in the past company slot, you want to put the company that you're considering applying to. So, for instance, if you're looking to apply at Google, you would put sales development rep, past company Google, and all the people who previously worked in that role will pop up. So they'll all be at different companies, they'll all be at different roles, and you want to pay attention to how long people are staying in that role and at the company. Excuse me. So there are kind of two ways to look at this. The first is how long people are staying in the role. If people are an SDR for a year and you see a bunch of them getting promoted to AE, so they're still working at Google, but now they're an account executive, now they're in customer success, now they've moved to marketing, you know that Google has a strong internal promotion program. They probably have strong learning and development, etc., etc. On the other hand, if you see that a lot of people are only staying at the company 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and then they're moving on to something else, what is going on where people don't want to stay? That tells you a lot. The benefit, or another benefit of looking bro. Okay. Another benefit of looking for those people that were previously in those roles is that you now see them on LinkedIn. So you can reach out to them. You can, put in a connection request. You can message them and say, hey, I am considering joining your previous company. I saw you worked there for XYZ months, and I want to get an honest opinion of what it's like working there. Do you have 15 minutes to chat in the next 48 hours? Usually, people who don't currently work at the company will give you the most honest review of what it's like. One of the companies that I was applying for and actually ended up getting an offer for, I talked to a couple people that work there and they were like, it's a meat grinder. Those were, that was her exact words. It is a meat grinder. So they run through employees really quick, and there's a reason. Like, there's a reason that I left. She also pointed me in the direction of someone else who could give me a more current view of what the company was like. So she was like, hey, I know I'm not there anymore. It's been 4 or 5 months since I worked there, but I'm still really close to this person. Reach out to them and they can give you a current assessment of what the company is like, what management is like, what they feel like their growth potential is like. And that's also very valuable because now you have a referral to someone who currently works at the company. And if the company has a referral program and you do end up applying, you have a much higher chance of getting your resume reviewed and uh, getting an interview because you're connected to someone at the company who can give you an internal referral. Okay, now a couple of things during the interview process is well yeah, during the interview process is when you are talking to the manager, the team, the recruiter. How do they treat your time? Are they on time? Do they send you a message, if they are late, saying, hey, something came up, I'm going to be 4 or 5 minutes late? Do they if you send them an email ahead of time, do they respond? Do they respond in a pretty timely manner? When you ask them questions, are they dismissive of the answer? Like, how they treat you during the interview process is probably very similar to how they will treat you when you're actually employed, because if they care about their employees, they're going to care about the people who they want to bring on the team, and they're also going to want to impress what they call top talent. So if you're somebody that they really want to have on the team, they're going to want also to make sure that you feel like you're valued during the interview process. Do they ask questions about you? Well, they're going to ask questions about yourself, your experience, that sort of thing. Ask them as well their experience. Does it feel like they're blowing smoke? Because a lot of times they will, especially in sales roles. Does it feel like they're being honest when you ask them questions about things that are important to you? So, for example, once I built up some rapport with the manager and director that I talked to, I asked them, hey, when was the last time you took time off? And how did that go? Are they like, oh yeah, I took time off and it was super easy, to check my emails while I was in Mexico, or, you know, day before my wife had the baby, I checked some emails, but like it was fine. They weren't expecting me to do that. When you ask them what are your expectations for the team or what are your ideal outcomes for the team, what do they say? Do they say they want the hardest working SDRs, or do they want just SDRs who are successful at their role? And this is such a loud street. Or are they in the mindset of my job as an SDR manager is to make sure that you don't stay in this role your whole life? I've been in several interviews where they've said that, and that's a huge green flag for me. Huge green flag, because most of us want a job with some growth potential. right? So if your SDR manager feels like their role in your career is to make sure that you don't stay where you are and that, you know, they nurture whatever interests you have in other parts of the company. Got travel on my mind. That's a huge green flag. Now, of course, if you've done the appropriate outreach, then you're also in contact with current people that work at the company, so you can actually fact check and see if that's correct once you go through the interview. Um, and then there are some really important questions that you can ask. I mentioned a couple already, but ask them about why they chose this company versus the last one. One of the interviews, I specifically asked the guy, like, "Hey, I looked at your LinkedIn. All of your companies you worked for like 4 to 6 years, and the company right before this one, you were only at for 7 months. So did something happen at your previous company, or was there something just so outstanding about your offer here that you had to join this company rather than doing what you would normally do, which is, you know, be loyal to one company for multiple years?" And I got a very honest answer. um, you can ask questions about, like, what does work life balance look like on this team? So if I have a if my kid has a parent teacher conference at 2 p.m., am I allowed to block time off on my calendar to make sure that I can go to their parent teacher conference? If my doctor only has an open appointment at 10 a.m., is it okay if I work or, you know, go to the appointment and then come back and get to work? um, Ask about time off if that's something that's important to you. Ask about, you know, promotions and pay raises and how often that's assessed. At the other thing I want you to know about, like, the place that I'm staying, because it's like the weather is so perfect here. And I think it's perfect like the majority of the year, because the way that these doors are, like, not even doors, they're like wrought iron, like pretty wrought iron, but wrought iron. So it's like it like the wind is blowing, and I think that's why the sound is so loud too. But anywho, um, yeah, all of these are things that you want to look for, and it's important to remember that you deserve to work somewhere that aligns with you and that treats you like a person. So you want to treat your job search like it's a mutual interview. Like, yes, they're interviewing you, but you also want to make sure that this is someplace that's going to treat you the way that you want, that's going to pay you the way that you want, and that's going to that's ultimately going to be a vehicle to the life that you want to live, right? So, even my ability now to be able to remote work from Costa Rica directly comes from the questions that I asked during the interview process. It came from the questions that I asked the team when I was applying. And yeah, just do your research, ask the questions, and don't be afraid to turn down what doesn't fit. Like, it's okay if you are doing your job search right, even in this horrible job market, you will have enough options to be able to choose what. We're not even in the jungle. Did you guys hear that? You will have enough options to be able to choose something that aligns with you very closely and very deeply. And you have more power than you think. So, yeah, that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you don't know, my name is Alexis. I post here on YouTube every single day. Check my track record. Today is day 49 of daily posting. So my goal is a minimum of 100 days of daily posting. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Feel free to hit the like button if there was something here that you felt was valuable, something that you got out of it. Hop on this train early. I hope to do a full 365, but my minimum goal is 100 days. So you gonna keep seeing this mug. Yeah, that's all, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.